What if I told you the person you want to become is not far away? They're actually standing right behind the version of you that keeps hesitating. Remove that hesitation, and the real you walks forward. All right, come closer for a second. Let's talk like two people sitting at a quiet cafe, not like a motivational lecture. Just you, me, and that invisible feeling that you're meant for more, and you know it. Because here's the truth. There's a very specific kind of discomfort that only certain people feel. It's that inner whisper that says, you're living below your own standards. And the crazy part? Most people try to silence that voice. They distract themselves. They scroll. They drown it out. But you clicked on a video about becoming someone you respect, which means you're not running from the voice. You're listening to it. That's the difference between people who change and people who stay stuck. I want you to think about something. When was the last time you impressed yourself? Not your parents, not your friends, not someone on Junglegram or whatever social forest platform people spend their days on. I'm asking about you. When was the last time you did something and thought, wow, that was actually me? Most people can't remember. And that's exactly where we begin. Respect doesn't come from achievements. Respect comes from alignment. It's when who you are matches who you know you could be. Let me tell you a secret. Your brain respects consistency far more than talent. You can be the smartest person in the city, but if you make one promise to yourself and break it, your brain marks you as unreliable. That's why some people feel weak even though they're capable. Their self-respect is low because their self-consistency is low. You can't admire someone who keeps lying to you, and your brain doesn't care who the liar is, even if it's you. So, how do we fix this? We start with something small, something embarrassingly small, something you can win at. The person you want to become doesn't grow from massive goals. They grow from tiny wins, repeated with scary accuracy. If you haven't read The Focus Reset, one of the Wise Joe ebooks, I talk about this idea of micro promises. But let me explain it here in the simplest way. A micro promise is a commitment so small, you'd feel silly failing at it. Like, drink a glass of water the moment you wake up. Or, read one page. Or, do 5 push-ups. Your brain doesn't care about the size. It cares about the pattern. Every time you keep a promise, your self-image shifts by 1 degree. Tiny rotations that eventually turn you into someone you respect. Now here's something important. Self-respect isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. You respect yourself when you stop pretending. When you admit your weaknesses without using them as excuses. When you say, yes, I'm flawed, but I'm not finished. Let me bring someone famous into this. Steve Jobs once talked about how the mind gets louder and clearer when you strip away the noise. He literally went to India in his early years, searching for stillness because he felt disconnected from himself. He realized something powerful. When your mind is calm, your identity becomes clear. And once your identity is clear, your actions become non-negotiable. If you want self-respect, you need clarity. You need quiet. You need distance from the noise that keeps telling you who you should be. That's why so many people wake up and immediately poison their brain with information that has zero meaning. Someone ate a mango. Someone bought a new blender. Someone's cat started a political argument on Banana Book. And suddenly your whole morning is gone. You want self-respect? Guard your attention like it's your passport. Lose it, and you're stuck in the airport of mediocrity. Now let's go deeper. Self-respect isn't just built by actions. It's also built by boundaries. If you say yes to everything, your brain knows you don't stand for anything. If every person can steal your time, your brain knows your time has no value. If every distraction can take you off your path, Your brain knows your path isn't real. You gain respect when you become selective. Selective with people, selective with commitments, selective with what you tolerate. The version of you that you admire, trust me, has very sharp boundaries. Now let's talk about something people rarely admit. A lot of people dislike themselves because they avoid hard decisions. They stay in situations that drain them. They protect comfort even when comfort is ruining their life. They avoid the conversation, avoid the truth, avoid the moment that would actually change everything. Here's the truth. You cannot admire someone who's always hiding. Your future self is watching you right now like, come on, just make the move. Say the thing, do the thing. I'm literally waiting for you. Let this be the moment where you do one thing differently. Just one. Even if it's tiny. Your future self will feel it. Now, let's shift gears. Becoming someone you respect isn't just about discipline or boundaries. It's also about how you talk to yourself. Some people speak to themselves in a tone they would never use on a stranger. Why are you like this? You always fail. You're behind. You're slow. You're not as good as them. If you want self-respect, talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for. Not with softness, but with fairness. You can be firm without being cruel. You can be honest without being hateful. Think about it. If you raised a younger version of you, would you destroy them with constant blame? Or would you guide them, teach them, support them while expecting responsibility? That's the style you need with yourself. There's a chapter on this in The Bulletproof Self-Worth Formula, another Wise Joe ebook, where I explain the idea of inner coaching. But the main point is simple. Self-respect grows from the way you treat your mistakes. Now let's talk about one more thing. Something uncomfortable but crucial. Your environment is shaping your self-respect far more than you think. If you constantly live in clutter, chaos, or noise, it creates a mental narrative that says, this is the level I operate at. If you surround yourself with people who drain your energy, you begin to believe you don't deserve better. If you keep habits that weaken you, your brain assumes you prefer weakness over strength. But imagine you changed just one element of your environment. You cleaned your desk, you organized your schedule, or you set a daily non-negotiable when you wake up. Suddenly, your identity shifts. Environment is the silent architect of self-respect. That's why so many successful people obsess over routines and spaces. They're not being dramatic. They're designing the version of themselves they want to meet every morning. By the way, that's exactly why The Energy Reset, another book in the Wise Joe collection, dives deep into psychological environments. Because your surroundings become your identity. All right, let's go even deeper. I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up tomorrow as someone you fully respect. What would actually be different? Not in the fantasy sense. Not in the luxury car, perfect body, billionaire lifestyle, and 7 dogs wearing sunglasses sense. I'm talking about subtle things. What time do you wake up? How do you talk to yourself? How do you stand? How do you leave your room? How do you respond to stress? How do you treat small tasks? Your respected self isn't dramatic. They are consistent. Let me give you a visual. Imagine your respected version as a stick figure standing tall. No fancy muscles, no superhero cape. Just a calm, stable posture. That's the version you're building. And every day, you choose one small action that turns your current stick figure into that one. Now, here's the twist. You don't need motivation to become someone you respect. Motivation is noisy. Respect is quiet. You need structure. You need clarity. You need honesty. You need small wins. You need boundaries. You need moments of stillness. And you need to stop negotiating with your comfort. Because the truth is, comfort will steal your future with a smile. And you won't even notice until you're 10 years older. Becoming someone you respect means being willing to disappoint your comfort. It means saying, I know you want the easy path, but today we take the honest path. You want a simple formula? Here it is. Respect equals promises kept. Strength equals discomfort chosen. Clarity equals noise removed. Growth equals identity upgraded. Follow these four things, and your entire life changes. Let me tell you something that will hit deep. One day, your life will feel different. Not because everything is perfect, but because you look at yourself and think, I trust this person. I like this person. I respect this person. That feeling is worth every sacrifice. Before we close, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer it in your own mind, or even in the comments if you feel brave. What is the one word that describes the person you're trying to become? Just one word. Strong, calm, disciplined, brave, focused, unshakable, whatever that word is. Hold it like a compass. Let it be the identity you grow into. Because once you choose the word, the actions will follow. You're not as far from that version of you as you think. You're one consistent week away from self-respect, one clear decision away from a new life, one honest moment away from meeting the real you. And trust me, you're going to like that version more than you think. Now take a breath, stand up a little taller, and let today be the first chapter where you become someone you finally respect.